Beauty of Indian laburnum tree, golden shower tree. This is the national tree and flower of Thailand, a Buddhist country, and tree is associated with royalty. In Sri Lanka, the tree is known as Ahela, and there is famous monument at Adam's Peak, which stands constructed using the wood of this tree, Acacia fistula, Indian laburnum, pudding pipe tree, because it has large pod-like fruits and sweet pulp. Pulp is medicinal, used in Ayurveda since ancient times as laxative. Not only fruit pulp, but even seed powder is very mucilaginous. Seed soaked in water swells 3 times, and their powder is again laxative, very useful against stomach troubles. This particular tree is called golden shower because before monsoon, we have the showers of only this tree petals, flower petals. As they mature, they fall down on the earth and you find a golden mat under the tree. And this also signifies the onset of monsoon just after 40 days. So when we start seeing its flowering in South India, it can be presumed that after 40 days, roughly 40 days, monsoon will reach at that western coast near Kerala. And likewise, even if we focus on Jammu Shivaliks, then this tree has started blooming about 20 days back. 3 weeks are already over. So we can say that after another 3 weeks time or 4 weeks, we will have the monsoon showers in Jammu also. This is a medium-sized tree, but it grows to larger dimensions when protected, and its bark is also eaten by many wild animals. This is also the larval host plant for many butterflies, especially the mottled migrant, immigrant, Catopsilia pyranthi, Catopsilia pomona, and we have even other butterflies which come to sip nectar. It is also nectar yielding and pollen yielding plant, very useful for honeybees. Honeybees are also collecting the bee forage from this beautiful ornamental Indian tree. Although it also grows in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, even Africa, and this particular tree stands introduced in other locations also, even in the South America, as it is quite ornamental. And Government of India has also issued 20 rupee stamp in its honor. Not only that, we have the reverence of this particular tree, especially in the Buddhist places of worship, and mostly the Buddhists plant this tree near monasteries. It also stands introduced very near to temples. In Chandigarh, we see the landscape has been decorated by this tree. So there are stretches where we find only Acacia fistula flowering, and the flowering is unique in the scorching summertime when no other flowers are mostly available. They have vanished in this high temperature, maybe 42, 45 degree temperature, and in this scorched hot temperature, only tree which is seen in flowering in abundance, in luxuriance across the landscape of India, especially the subtropical belt. So we find this tree as the most gaudy tree, the tree which supports wildlife, the diversity of the butterflies, lepidopteran insects, and Another unique feature of this tree is Stuart Troop did some experiment, said how this tree seeds get dispersed, and he found that seeds of Acacia fistula, Indian laburnum, they are efficiently dispersed by the golden jackals, which we call as Gid in Dogri, and it is the Indian jackal or the golden jackal, Canis aureus, and this particular animal was found to be foraging on its pods, and the seeds when out through excreta, they germinated very well, and they also got dispersed to distant locations. So this is another unique feature of this particular tree, and this tree flower is known as Conicona, and under the name Conicona, this tree stands religiously associated with the Vishu festival or Vishu festival of Kerala. Malayalam people, they usually decorate they make the floral designs using the petals of this tree, which is Kanikonam, and declared as the state flower of Kerala. That is another unique diagnostic and cultural significance of Acacia fistula, Indian laburnum, pudding pipe tree, golden shower tree. In Hindi belt, the tree is named as Amaltas or Amaltash. In Sanskrit, which is the oldest healing system of Indian medicine, the tree has been named as Aragvad, the disease killer, as it can kill the constipation, it can cure dysentery, it can even improve the diabetic condition, even useful for skin care as a cosmetic effect. And this tree stands revered and useful in folk healing by the Vaidya and Hakims. They usually recommend seed powder or ripe pod pulp to cure the constipation and improve the blood related disorders. And this tree was once even exploited for tanneries industry, as its bark is rich in tannins. So its tannins were exploited for the tanneries. In the tanneries, this was exploited, but after independence, we switched over to many synthetic kind of tannins, and now its use is on the decline. But if we look back to the history, then Acacia fistula had the longer history of using the bark as tannin and also the rich source of pectins. The fruits are rich in pectins, and that mucilage is also useful as a binding material. So in the pharmaceutical industry, this mucilage of seed mucilage obtained from the pods is useful and used as binding material, and that binding material is quite useful and quite of superior quality as compared to many other binding materials. So that is another beauty. The heartwood is reddish yellow, whereas sapwood is white in color, and leaves are borne alternately, and each leaf is imparipinnate, means odd pinnate, having the number of leaflets 7 to 9, sometimes maybe up to 11, but the usual number is 7 to 11. And this particular tree has the flowers borne in long pendulous racemes. So the racemes look quite gaudy, and they can be simulated or compared with kaliras. The kaliras, the ladies who are going for marriage, they are they have to wear the kalira, auspicious kalira. And kalira is made up of copra and then seashells, cowries. But the first stitch inside the copra was earlier made using the seed of this tree, Acacia fistula. Acacia fistula seed was the first culturally important use to stitch the thread with copra. So that cultural significance of this Acacia fistula has also been documented in our scriptures, in our traditional thinking and people's knowledge. So that is another. And in some locations, the tribal people, even they innovate the cuisines by using the fruit pulp and the tender foliage and even the flowers. So flowers are edible and they can be cooked. Even we find the pod pulp is equally medicinal and full of nutrition, especially good for digestion and curing the constipation. So that is also recommended. And so this tree which we are looking before us, in Dogri language, the tree has got the name as Karangal. Karangal gives an impression of unguliyan, fingers. When we look at its pods, they hang down like the fingers, like the unguliyan. So it must have got this name from that Karanguliyan. And this particular tree, Acacia fistula, belongs to the family Caesalpinidae subfamily. And now, according to Angiosperm phylogeny group new classification, molecular phylogeny interrelationships, this stands clubbed under the P family in the Fabaceae. Though it belongs to the legume family or leguminosae, this tree does not fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So this tree is having many other aspects. It's a beautiful ornamental tree. It is also useful as a culturally important religious tree. Even it is a reputed garden ornamental tree. It is used as for dye and for tanning as material, also even as a binding material in the pharmaceutical industry. But this tree, Acacia fistula, Indian laburnum, has no nitrogen fixing ability. This is unique to the legume, especially the Acacia fistula. So this tree has started flowering in the wilderness of Jammu Shivalix, and we can safely assume that after 30 days or 25 days we will have showers. Although this particular tree stands recognized, and in its honor there are postal stamps, and even we have preserved this tree in many sacred groves, especially as Dhansar, Baba Dhansar sacred grove. There we find the trees of Acacia fistula. They stands preserved. The tree has been revered and used in Ayurveda. This is the larval host plant for many butterflies like common emigrant and mottled emigrant.